Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast. Today we continue to look at races across the state. Today, Manny Kess, Republican candidate for state treasurer, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're very pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Manny Kess. He is a Republican candidate for state treasurer. Pleasure to have you here on the program, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on.
So let's start out with this, which is a lot of our audience has never met you before. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for treasurer.
Absolutely. I have been living in Nevada for 11 years. I'm originally from New York, and I attended the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and unfortunately my father passed away my freshman year, so I had to leave the Naval Academy, and my career path changed from becoming a naval aviator to going home and started working. I ended up in the restaurant business with a family member, and we were doing very well. We were successful up until the 2008 collapse, the economic collapse, where our country went through probably its worst recession. New York City and the state of New York in general decided to bail out and help all major banks, financial institutions, and they forgot about the small business owner. So restaurateurs like myself were left out to dry, and the companies that put us into that economic recession were given money and able to survive and thrive. So by 2010, I lost my restaurant. I ended up losing everything because we just couldn't stay afloat. Real estate market, as Nevadans well know, collapsed. Nevada was one of the hardest hit states in the country during that time. And so I was faced with, do I start over again in New York, or do I look for something new? One of my buddies had moved out west, had moved to Nevada, and told me this is a great state, very pro-business friendly, low cost of living. Obviously, zero state income tax is always a big plus, especially leaving a state like New York. So I moved out here in 2011, and I started a hospitality company. That hospitality company now is one of the largest in the state, and what we do is we plan people's trips to Las Vegas. So people from all over the world contact us. We set up their hotels, their restaurants, their nightclubs. They want to go to the Grand Canyon, do tours. They want to shoot guns in the desert. Whatever they want to do, experience, shows, we set it up. And the beauty about it is we customize experiences. So people want to keep coming back because we keep creating a different experience, which highlights different parts of the city and the state. So fast forward to a couple of years ago, I started investing in other companies, and today I own 11 companies. And I mention that because in 2010, I lost it all, and in a short span of 10 years, I've been able to work hard, and with the help of an amazing state like Nevada, I built myself up to be a very successful entrepreneur. Go ahead, Sam.
No, please continue.
In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I, like everyone else, was left in shock. No one knew what was going to happen. I mean, we were hearing that the world was coming to an end. But very quickly, over the next few months, we realized that if you lived in one state, you were going to die a horrible death. But if you lived in a different state, you were going to be fine and actually thrive. So I decided to get off the couch, so to speak, and get into politics for the first time in my life, because one person in our state decided to play God. And he told us who was essential and who was not. Casinos were essential. Churches were not. Dispensaries were essential. Mom and pop restaurants were not. So I could not go to my neighborhood restaurant, which on a busy evening had 10 or 15 people, but I can go to the Strip, to one of the casinos, and dine in their restaurants with 300 strangers. It made no sense to me. And then it just kept going. You wanted to go food shopping? You could go to Walmart. You could go to all these big chains, but you couldn't go to your neighborhood place because that was not essential. And the last one that drove me crazy was my barber. I used to go to a barber who had one little chair in a little 200 square foot office. He cannot open, but I can go to the Strip, to one of the casinos, and go into a barber shop that has multiple chairs and get a haircut. So that's when I was like, okay, enough's enough. This makes no sense. We need people in office that actually represent us, not say whatever it takes to get into office and then do the complete opposite.
All right, so you're running for state treasurer. Why did you choose treasurer rather than governor?
Well, I mean, I don't think that today I have the qualifications to be a governor, but when I look at what I've done in my life over the past 25 years of being a business owner, there are many similarities with the treasurer's office. I know how to balance a budget. I know how to stretch a dollar. I know how to make payroll. And so I have extensive experience in that field. And I know how to look at spreadsheets and numbers and decipher what makes sense and what doesn't.
All right, so as you look at what's been happening in the state treasurer's office over the past 4 years, what things stand out to you as positives? What things stand out to you as negatives?
Well, the biggest negative that I saw was that, firstly, during the pandemic, it took Nevadans up to 9 months to get unemployment money. We're sitting with over $900 million, it's close to $950 million in unclaimed property. I would have put a big onus on spreading the word to get people to collect money that they have stagnant, whereas this current treasurer's office did not do that. I mean, it's not very hard. And I actually called the treasurer's office and I said, what have you done since the pandemic to tell people? And they said, well, according to the Nevada statute, all we need to do is do one publication a year, so we take out a classified ad. I don't know about you, Sam, but I haven't looked at a classified ad in probably a decade. So that's kind of an outdated way to get people information. Also, we received billions of dollars from the federal government in relief funds that were not utilized. Why are we sitting on all that money? Where now the governor and the treasurer are going around the state talking about, oh, how can we use this money? Well, yeah, it makes sense. It's an election year and they want to be popular. But the past 2 years, when we were hurting and businesses were shutting down left and right, that money could have been utilized to spark the state's economy.
All right, so let's hit a couple of things here. Obviously, DETR is the unemployment division of the state. That's not really under the treasurer's purview, but what suggestions would you have for DETR? I mean, obviously, one of the things that they are going through right now, they've got a couple of things going on, is improving the computer system, because that was obviously completely outdated, especially in terms of trying to deal with the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of applications that they were getting for unemployment. But now they're suffering from an employee shortage because the federal funds have been shut off.
Well, I use that as a fact to talk about the unclaimed property, which is within the treasurer's purview. I wasn't speaking specifically about Dieter, but we do need efficiency, we do need transparency, and we need accountability. And this happens through all things in government, especially in our state. We have no idea where our money's going and how it's being spent. So we need to have updated methods and newer systems so that we can utilize the tools that we have. And if it's something that's outdated, like you mentioned earlier, well, let's update it, because the world is moving, everything's progressing, we shouldn't be left behind.
You mentioned also the billions of dollars coming to the state, and you're absolutely right about that. But part of the problem is that there are strings attached to that money, so it can't just be used for whatever the state wants to use it for. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. But again, whatever those strings are, let's use it. The point is, we received all this money. I mean, last I checked, and I haven't checked in a few months, but we had received over $7.6 billion. So whatever the limitations might be, let's maximize what we can use the money for and get it to people. You just don't leave everyone behind, and you have to utilize every asset that's given to you, especially during a pandemic where our state went from having 49 million visitors in 2019 to less than 10 million visitors in 2020. I mean, that is one of the backbones of our state is tourism, and that's what I do for a living every day. I talk with people every day. I'm on the Strip every day, meeting with people, locals, visitors. We need to be able to allow people to know that Nevada cares. We're doing everything we can to speed up the process to get us back on track. And taking it a step further, talking about what I would have done, personally, I would have never shut the lifeline of our state down, which is tourism. I would never let government shut us down. That's not what they're there for. Government is there to help. They're there to create process to make life easier and better for us, and to, on a certain level, keep order. They're not there to tell us how to live our life, what to do, and destroy our economy at any given moment.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that point, but I would say to you that whether it was 9/11 or the 2008 recession that you dealt with, or COVID, that the state of Nevada does take these hits. And what's remarkable is the resilience of the gaming and tourism industry to be able to come back. I have to figure that you're looking at what's going on in Las Vegas in particular right now. The only thing that seems to be missing and not firing on all cylinders is the convention business, which is coming back slowly and may not be fully back until the end of 2023. But with the recent announcement of the Formula One race that's going to go through the Las Vegas Strip, that's just one more arrow in the quiver of things that Southern Nevada especially has to offer, do you not think?
No, I agree. Now we're starting to get back on our feet. And of course, at the end of the day, Las Vegas and Nevada is looked at as an adult getaway, right? You leave your family, you leave your business, and you go on your vacation, and you come to Las Vegas because of all the things that we offer, whether it's gaming, whether it's shows, whether it's all the other beauties that we have. But we should not have been put in a situation where government decided to just shut us down. Half the other, maybe not half, but a third of the states that stayed open, Florida, Arizona, they thrived. So why didn't government ask for help and work with business instead of just shutting us down unilaterally and then deciding one day, oh, okay, now we can reopen?
Okay, but let me...
States that remained open during the pandemic and thrived.
All right, so let me ask you this then. If you had been state treasurer during this time, because that's the job you're running on, what would you have been able to do, if anything, to be able to push back against this?
Well, I would have been in the governor's ear every day, telling him or her, listen, let's pay attention to what's happening in other states. Let's constantly reevaluate. I would have fought for, A, to get that unclaimed property out. I would have fought to get the money released in whatever loophole or whatever limitations they would have had. I would have demanded some checks and balances. I wouldn't just be sitting around waiting to be told what to do. You have to take control of the position as an elected official and do the best that you can for your constituents.
All right.
Wouldn't just sit around.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. I want to talk to you more about the tourism business because obviously that is a really great area of expertise for you. Let's talk about that when we come back. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Manny Kess. He is a Republican candidate for state treasurer, and he's also an expert in the field of tourism, which is his main business, although he runs 11 different businesses. I wanted to ask you about esports, because esports has been growing in terms of publicity, and certain properties are promoting esports in Las Vegas. We now have former State Senator Ben Kiekhaefer on the Gaming Commission, who has been a big proponent of esports. What do you hear from your customers and potential customers about any benefits for esports to bring more tourism to Las Vegas?
Well, it's definitely a thriving market. I mean, globally, people now, especially children, young adults, they're finding ways that they can take their gaming to a next level and they can monetize it, which is amazing. Yes, the Luxor has a great esports arena in there, and it's a growing business, but we need every opportunity we can find to generate business for Nevada, to bring in multiple revenue streams, because gaming is changing. Casinos are opening up nationwide. The licenses are going around. People can bet on their phones now. So we're not getting all those people that 10, 15 years ago would come here to gamble from their home state because they can do that at home. So we need to be cutting edge. We need to lead and not follow, and take advantage of every opportunity to see things happening 5, 10 years down the road and be the first to implement it. So I'm very excited about the esports field.
And do you think we are leading in that area? Because, I mean, Blackfire at UNLV certainly seems to be promoting that very strongly.
I don't know if we're leading, but we're definitely in tune with the market. I mean, esports has been around for over 5-6 years. I mean, you can see at ESPN that they've been putting on these championships, tournaments, and whatnot. So we're in the conversation, and we need to now make sure that we continue to be a leader in that industry and whatever else we can see 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I was looking at esports things over 20 years ago when I saw that in South Korea there were tens of millions of people watching esports on their computers. And I thought to myself way back then, even though I'm not a game player, but I mean, when you got tens of millions of people doing something, obviously there should be a market for that in the United States, and it just surprised me that it took so long to get here. I want to bring up another thing that is an interesting sidebar, I think, because North Las Vegas, Mayor John Lee is in the heart of Electric Daisy Carnival, which over 3 nights brings in 350,000 people to the raceway there. Rick Vallada, the business columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, about a year ago wrote a column saying that perhaps casinos should think about bringing Electric Daisy Carnival atmosphere into casinos as a way to up the game. Has that thought struck you at all?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you could bring a festival into a casino.
The concepts.
Festival here, you're getting all that revenue because they're staying in hotels, they're dining, and then they just go to that festival. So it's important to make sure that we're creating safe experiences. So I'd like to see more precautions being taken place, and that's why they moved EDC from the summer where it was too hot to now it's in May, and then last year they did it in the winter. So I like that they're being smarter about it. But anytime you can get sporting events, big concerts, big festivals to our state, that's huge. I mean, look at the Raiders Stadium. Because of that stadium, now you just had the BTS concert, which was the past 2 weekends, that sold out in minutes. And that generates so much more business and volume for our state. So I love to see the diversity in that we're bringing in more opportunities to bring in revenue.
I got to say, that BTS deal was phenomenal. 4 nights, 160,000 tickets sold in under 2 hours, as you point out. And not only that, but it was like the National Finals Rodeo, where casinos all over town were holding events. So you didn't even have to go to the BTS concert. You could go watch the Bellagio fountains playing BTS music. It was amazing. Let's take another break. We'll come right back.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Don't miss the $200,000 Big Cash giveaways at Tamarack Casino through May 28th. One $10,000 Big Cash winner guaranteed every Saturday, plus over $60,000 in grand prize giveaways. The $200,000 Big Cash giveaways at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Manny Kess. He is a candidate for state treasurer. He is also an expert in tourism and runs 11 different companies out of Las Vegas. I had another thought that I want to get your take on, because you're bringing people from all over the world and all over the country to Las Vegas for tourism. The cost of coming to Las Vegas these days, and I don't mean the plane fare, but I think Resorts World is one of the most beautiful properties I've ever been in. But man, is it expensive to go in there. Even their least expensive restaurants are going to cost you an arm and a leg and a guarantee of, perhaps a first child. Are we putting too much emphasis on the high end at this point?
Well, I don't think it's too much emphasis on the high end. I mean, unfortunately, without getting too political, you see what's happening. with interest rates going up, cost of goods going up, all these issues that the country is facing, that makes everything more expensive. 2 years ago, you can get a room on the Strip for $150 a night, but now you can't because it's just costing every owner so much more. So the reality is, yes, Resorts World is beautiful. It was a $5 billion plus build, which was great. Again, brought many jobs to the state. The problem that I see is our expenses are going through the roof, and that turns into our costs going up. So I will tell you this, on a weekend, you cannot get a hotel room on the Strip. Every hotel is selling out right now. You're going into peak season, and we have to allow more businesses, more growth, more development to have more diversity.
All right.
And work with these major corporations that want to bring in these deals. I mean, I'm excited for the Fontainebleau next year because that's just going to be another amazing property on the Strip that people can go to and, again, diversify.
And then that's where we have to leave it, Manny. Good luck out on the campaign trail. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate your input.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We'll be right back.
Before the masks, before the distancing, before the world changed, UMC was ready. Our response to COVID-19 began before the crisis did, with our own team of infectious disease experts who've spent their careers planning for this moment. With a pandemic response plan, we'd practiced again and again, and by blazing new trails in large-scale testing, including every patient we admit. Always ready. UMC.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CV steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website, again, NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.